Yes, indeed. Happy New Year. It's certainly good to be with you at the beginning of a new year and the beginning of a new church season, Epiphany, which is a time of love and of hope. And perhaps for you it's been a holiday weekend of celebrating and perhaps making some resolutions, partying a bit, and maybe a little bit of football. Anybody watch any football over this weekend? Lots of bowl games going on. Well, today I'm going to tell you about a game of hope. And this game starts on the campus of Gainesville State School, where the students are convicted criminals, teenage boys who have been incarcerated because they have violated the law. Now, a day starts on this campus for the boys in their little room that they call home. And they spend the day going from class to class, marching and keeping a very strict schedule. And the only thing that keeps them in reminder of the fact that they are kids is football. And on the campus, one of the faculty members is a coach of the football team. He's a good, positive model for these boys, and he encourages them, and everybody wants to play football. But in order to put on a Gainesville Tornadoes team jersey, it's a reward and not a right. You have to have good grades and very good behavior. For Gainesville State School, you might imagine that they don't have any home games because high schools will not come there. And so every game that they play is on the road. And when the gates open up on Friday evening and make their way out to whatever high school they're playing, they have a little taste of the freedom that they've given up. And yet when they come back after the game and the gates close behind them and lock, and they were reminded that their campus is surrounded by chain link fence and barbed wire, they remember who they are and what they have done. Well, as this Friday night approaches, Gainesville will be going to Grapevine to play Faith Christian High School for the first time. Now, generally, their experience on the road is kind of a disappointing one because they say that people don't treat them like a regular person. In fact, maybe more like aliens. Or one young boy said, they treat us like animals in a cage, as if we don't have a chance, a second chance to do something right, or an opportunity to be something in life. But on this Friday evening, the coach of Faith High School was putting together a game plan, and it had nothing to do with football. He wanted to show these boys that in this country and in his faith community, that if you made right decisions, people would get behind you no matter what your background is and support you, and that you could look ahead with hope that you could make it. So in a selfless gesture, head coach Chris Hogan put out a request to his fans, the parents of the team players, and he asked them to do something that was quite out of the ordinary in the culture of football. He asked these fans to root for the other team, to cheer for the boys of Gainesville State School. Now, the coach pointed out, these boys won't have anybody coming with them except their faculty. Their parents won't be there, their friends won't be there, their family won't be there. They won't have any fans. There won't be anybody on their side. And so he asked his own fans to sit on the visitor side and cheer for these boys throughout the game. Coach Hogan helped his fans see that this was a sense of giving and that they had to be there to support these boys and give them a sense of the possibility that people love them, something maybe they haven't experienced in a very long time. So as kickoff began, it seemed like something was very different this day. In fact, the Gainesville team thought maybe they were on the wrong end of the field because they looked up in the stands and there were people there, and there were people cheering. And as the clock kicked down to kick off, they did another thing. They made a spirit line. That double line that you run through to be welcome into the field. And they'd even made a banner. And when the team ran out and burst through that banner onto the field, there were people cheering for them on both sides. And they ran out into the field with the wind on their face and something that had been unleashed. Well, this feeling of being unleashed lasts throughout the whole game. And there were people cheering from them on their side and even cheering for them by their own names. And these boys didn't even know these people. Well, it might not have been enough for them to win the football game, but they certainly had a victory of a different sort that night. They had a victory in their own hearts. They had a victory that people could stand beside them. They won. In their hearts and in their spirit, they won. One of the fans, a mother of one of the boys from Faith Christian, said, "You know, they were just like ours that night. I rooted for their little quarterback, and he felt like it belonged to me." And another fan, a father, said, "Our kids were their kids, and their kids were our kids, and all the kids were the same." That was the experience of that night. And so I don't think maybe the boys from Gainesville will forget the feelings they had that night. While it didn't erase the mistakes that they had made, it did give them the sense that people could be on their side, that there was a chance, regardless of what they had done in the past. And there was reason to look ahead and to hope. When they got back to Gainesville State School and those gates locked behind them, and they went back to their rooms, one of the boys shared, "I went to my room and I cried. I cried at the realization that it's not just my own family that loves me, but God loves me, and other people can love me too." And yet another boy from a broken family said, "Well, I have a different view of the world now. I used to just think of myself as a victim, but now I can think of myself as someone that can be loved. And I can hope." He won that night. He has new hope.